Thanks for joining us again. The second episode of Slasher, Jared. You know, we're trying to sort of go through each episode and give our thoughts and our theories, which, you know, I thought were quite successful last episode. How did you feel about that? Do you feel you're on something?
I was feeling, walking out of episode 1, I was feeling $1 million, mate. I'm walking out, popping my collar, all this sort of shit. Then I start watching episode 2 and I think, oh, okay.
Yeah, you don't know where you are.
You know, there's still a couple of things there that are floating around, but yeah, little couple of things to talk about.
Yeah, true. All right, well, let's get straight into it. Your general thoughts on the episode and how it compared to episode 1.
General thoughts. It didn't really crackle as much as episode 1, and I think part of that is less Cronenberg, especially less dyed-haired Cronenberg. But yeah, it feels like we're starting to move towards, all right, we're going to spend a bit of time with a couple of characters, and the other characters are going to be sort of left out of it for the large portions. So yeah, we'll see how that pans out. I didn't like it as much as the first one, but there was certainly some things that still have me hooked in. It felt like at certain parts a little bit of filler, but still pretty happy with it. Yeah,
look, I would probably echo the same sort of sentiments. I felt that it wasn't at the level of the first episode, but I felt that at least there was a few little tidbits and little twists and stuff to sort of give you a sense of where we're going. I have concerns about sort of focusing on specific characters in an episode. Like, because they kind of focused on 2 characters in particular.
Correct.
For me, you kind of play your hand a touch, maybe?
A little bit, yeah. Especially this episode. It feels like we spend a whole lot of time with 2 characters, and then, you know, as we've said, we're going to go deep into the spoilers on these talking about this show, but you go deep in with two characters and then you lose one of them.
Yes.
It's like, okay, all right, well, is that how we're going to do it? Because it didn't really spring a huge shock this time around, but it did. Look, we'll get into that in a little bit, but yeah, I wasn't necessarily shocked by many of the proceedings this time around.
No, not at all. All right, the things you liked about it, mate. Let's get into that.
Things I liked. Well, I liked that, you know, once we get into the competition, it looks like the $1 million Tough Mudder after the first event. You got to climb a rope.
It looks like that fucking game show they show in The Running Man. Fucking climbing for dollars. Where if you fall off, you get torn apart by dogs.
Yeah. That was, look, I can't say I thought that was. It was kind of goofy, but I did get a bit of a laugh out of it, especially when the lady that is supposed to have just, you know, injected him with the medication to end his life, then becomes one of the commentary team from Ninja Warrior and starts fucking talking about your hands will be what goes first and all this sort of shit.
Yeah, I was expecting to see Andrew Flintoff down at the fucking asking him how they went.
It was kind of goofy, but I did sort of enjoy it. I thought to myself, gee, it's going to be hard to get a bit of drama out of people just hanging there for a while. But they started to develop the shit going on between the 2 brothers, which I thought, you know, it was interesting enough. They start throwing the flashbacks in amongst that.
I think the interesting part of that for me personally was the whole idea that Cronenberg kind of told the young guy, you need to get something out of this.
Yes, correct. And this is where I talk about, you know, the lack of Cronenberg was where we sort of lost a bit of the crackle. When he comes back in the flashbacks, that's where we start getting, okay, you know, he starts talking about how essentially talking about how their dad was the puppet master, and then when those conversations come about, that's what was interesting, right? That he's fracturing the relationships between them a little bit. So that wasn't too bad. I didn't mind that so much.
I guess I've got a question here, Jared. This is a question relating to the death of Cronenberg. His fucking guts was burned out. Has anyone checked? Gone,
No.
holy shit!
Nobody went to give him a hug and then fucking fell through the middle of his body. It was just a gaping hole after the...
Are we led to believe that the lawyer woman sort of, I don't know, chucked his body in an incinerator or something and said, right, that's the end of that?
Well, I don't know. See, this is the thing. It seems to me, from when they come back in, that we're led to believe that the killer has tucked him up in bed to make it look like it's he's just passed away peacefully.
He's a corpse. I mean, he decomposes. You need to get him out of there.
Well, he supposedly, going by the shot at the end, he was fucking melting through the bed. So
correct.
Something's going to tip you off.
I mean, is that Dad? Is that rancid smell, Dad? Yeah, we left him in there.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. Come on.
Yeah. When you walk in and slip ass over on the pool of blood that's fucking coming.
That's
out
not sanitary. Jesus.
Yeah.
God. I would have thought the killer would have whipped him out of there and just killed him, like got rid of him. But, obviously didn't.
Well, you don't want to arouse suspicion, so you just tuck him over and hope no one else is going to pull the blankets down. No one's going to say, oh, he's dead, we'd better move him.
Yeah, I'm just the rest of the family are such scumbags, they just leave him laying there.
I thought the first thing someone was going to walk in and go, well, fuck, there's 20 people on the island. We are short of beds, so fucking get him out of there so we can, change the sheets.
Yeah, Bag's not sleeping here. Jesus Christ! But the killer just assumed these pricks were all lazy. Wouldn't bother to fucking move him. All right, sorry. Get back to it. I dug on that stuff.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I didn't mind that actually. I felt the relationship between the two brothers is pretty good, and I think they are two of the actors that I'm happy enough to watch, because there's a couple that I could do without, but those two I felt are both pretty solid actors. So yeah, I was happy enough with that as it was playing out.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, the guy who plays Seamus, the older brother, he was actually in season 2, I believe.
Yeah, he was in season 1 as well, wasn't he?
Was he? Oh, yeah, he might have been.
Pretty sure he was in season 1. He was one of the... Wasn't there a gay couple in season 1? And he was,
you could be correct. Could be him.
Yeah. So I believe he's one of the people that's returned a number of times for the series.
Yep. And look, I've got no problem with that. And as I said, those two brothers and the whole riff that kind of builds and the way that Cronenberg kind of starts all that, I think is a really cool way of kind of showcasing that Dad's always been like a needler and a shit stirrer, and he's always been at them.
I also liked that they seem to have a pretty solid relationship, but the older brother still seemed to be the one that was already at that level, whereas the younger brother, you see Cronenberg pushing in that direction. So I was pretty happy with most of what was going on there. Yes,
I really liked the sequence where they kind of find the masked killer in the woods. That was really creepy.
I was looking at it and thinking, this is the problem with a long form series, is that we don't get enough of that stuff. Yeah. So when we actually got it, I was like, yeah, here we go. We get a bit of the killer just fucking standing, a bit of Michael Myers type work just standing in the background. Not Myers 5 where he's shuffling like he needs to take a piss, but classic Michael Myers where he's just kind of standing there observing them. So,
well, as I found out today, Jared, not like Madman who goes, fucking stands in the woods,
makes noise and then does a little bit of spirit fingers and starts running in front of buses. And
I digress.
Madman doesn't stalk as well as some of the other guys do.
No, he's not really a stalk guy. I liked that sequence. I also liked, and coming back to what we were talking about with the competition, which, as you said, quite rightly, felt like something out of Survivor. I'm pretty sure we probably have seen it on Survivor.
Yeah.
But adding the spikes, I liked as a nasty little addition and felt kind of Saw-like.
Yeah.
And that sequence where the guy actually falls on them. Ew. Shit.
Yeah. And most of the family, and obviously, we've seen a bit of this, that they've been involved in this shit before, but they're pretty blasé about it.
Right, don't worry about him, he'll be fine. Walk it off.
Yeah, no one's checking vital organs, they're just talking about fucking stitch it up. I mean, look at it.
That was another thing I actually liked, how Seamus's wife was like, you just became a real prick,
Yeah,
like,
she was just
I
kind
saw
of
the
out
absolute worst of you,
Her character in season 3 was the bane of my fucking existence.
Oh,
and now she's finally got to play a character where you're like, yeah, well, finally you just get to act your part without being an absolute scumbag about it all.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty happy again with her being able to just take on a completely different character. And this is the cool thing about seeing these actors come back every series, is that you get to see them take on things that are a little different. You get a bit of an appreciation of what they can do in that sense. And I like to go from the character that was just grating on me last season to I'm on board with her. She's one of the good guys this time around. He's good.
Yeah, true. And the last bit for me was the death of the brother was fucking nasty.
Yes. Yeah, that was rough.
He gets pulled into pieces.
What's his name? Jaden. Jaden
while he's still alive, yeah.
Yeah, he
just gets ripped to shreds.
Yeah, and the fact that everyone comes in while it's going on.
Yeah.
So you're kind of getting the sense
and they're all trying to help him?
Yeah, you're kind of getting the sense that, okay, someone's responsible for this, but then everyone else is just getting to fucking see it play out regardless. It's pretty rough.
Yeah.
It was very rough, actually.
And I like the idea of it. Again, it had a Saw vibe, It was kind of like he had like cables or whatever around his wrists and his ankles, and they basically just tightened up and tore his arms off and tore one of his legs off. I mean, it was a horrible way to go. And I'll tell you what, the special effects team, they love a bit of gristle, don't they? Bits of meat and skin and stuff everywhere.
Shit everywhere.
Yeah, and the special effects are outstanding.
Yeah, they're doing a very good job in that respect. Especially, we know that this is not a series that's got a hell of a lot of money to play with.
Mm.
So they're doing an excellent job on that front.
Yeah. Did you have anything else you liked?
Well, my favourite line of the episode was after it's all gone down, where the older brother, Seamus, is talking to his missus, and as you said, she's telling him that he's just turned into a prick. And he pulls out, well, when I was 6, my dad would blast We Are the Champion at full volume after he beat me at chess. All I could think about was David Cronenberg still looking 85 with a fresh brown dye, blasting We Are the Champion after beating a child at a game of chess, and I was absolutely loving it.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty funny. I wish they had a bit of flashback. It would have been great.
That's all we were sadly lacking. Could have done with a bit of Cronenberg crackle right there.
Oh, definitely. Anything else from you?
No, that was pretty well the same sort of things that I was looking at and was pretty happy with.
Okay, so this cons of the episode. Firstly, do you think that fucking one of the directors, Cronenberg's walked on set, and the director's gone, oh shit, someone's let him in the fucking medicine cabinet and he's put the bloody Auburn highlights back in there? Because he looks like an idiot with that shit on his head. David, keep David away from the fucking bathroom.
Thankfully they avoided that a little more this time around. It wasn't just right in front of us. But yeah, we've got to keep him out of it.
We have got to get that out of there.
Yeah.
I mean, de-age the bloke. Use some Irishman techniques and de-age the guy.
Just get someone else. Get
He looks ridiculous.
Get someone that looks like him. I don't know.
His son. Fuck.
Yeah.
Get his son to do
Can
it.
somebody get that fucking box of L'Oreal out of David's hands, for fuck's sake? It's killing.
Yeah, one of the producers comes over to the director and goes, "Listen, I did just want to give you a heads up. This was David's decision."
Yeah, it's not helping things.
He said he wanted to go with brown highlights. You've heard it here.
At least,
yeah, he looks ridiculous.
At least this time around, we only had to deal with a flashback that was 19 months later, so I didn't have as many issues with people looking exactly the same. I mean, 25 years to 19 months, you didn't have to worry about it so much this time around.
I mean, honestly, that they look, but you're saying 19 months, it looks like 19 minutes later. They look exactly the same. Holy shit. Come on.
Yeah.
Be a little bit creative with this. Let's keep Cronenberg. I mean, fuck, shave the guy's head. Like, just go with a shaved head. He's bald. And he never changes, even in 25 years. He's still a fucking noob.
I'm more concerned. Look, I don't care about his hair. I could believe that a 65-year-old man has white hair. It's the wrinkles that are what you got to worry about.
Yeah, what? Fucking give him a goatee or something. He can cover the wrinkles with a goatee.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was a little hard to swallow. It wasn't as bad as the previous episode, but it was still a little bit. Wasn't something that I really want to see a lot of.
No,
because it's hard to cop.
Yeah, but as we said, at least it wasn't 25 years this time, because that was a shambles. At least this time it was a more manageable time period. It was only a couple of years that we were dealing with, though.
Yeah. Look, the episode was a lot more talky this time.
Yeah.
You're setting up characters, you're creating the relationships, and maybe things got a little bit, for me, they kind of got a little bit bogged down.
I mean,
and I kind of felt
I could have done with another.
That was what was lacking.
Yeah, I could have done with another shitful art performance. That would have kept me sort of interested at certain points. But yeah, you're right. There was a lot more back and forth between characters. It also chopped between. We start with the son coming back, and he has one conversation with his brother, and then we don't see them essentially for the rest of the episode.
Yeah, they have a conversation at the start, and then they're basically seen like in fleeting glimpses throughout.
Yeah, and everyone's quick to just sort of jump on board and say, yeah, it's him, and sort of go back with that route, but then. Yeah, this is sort of what we were talking about. It's sort of completely chopped and changed to to Seamus and Jaden for the majority of the episode.
Well, that's my concern. I brought it up at the start. You focus on characters to the detriment of others, and you've only got 8 episodes to tease it out.
Yeah,
and there seems to be a hell of a lot of characters.
And this is what we've spoken about. It's easy enough to do a slasher film in 80 minutes and have this amount of characters and have a couple of them just say a couple of lines and then see you later. But in a TV show where you're trying to keep the mystery about it, there's got to be a point where you bring these characters on screen and just fluff around with them for almost an episode or so, and then they're gone, and you're kind of like, okay. So it's a bit harder to manage. It's a fucking tough task.
Yeah, look, and I'm not knocking the creators the way they're going. You had to kind of build some character.
Yeah.
But the thing is, even by slasher movie standards, we know Jaden about as well as we would know him if it was a 90-minute slasher film.
Yeah, that's right. We've got a little bit going on, but I felt...
But not heaps.
So one of my issues with that relationship was like, okay, I'm a little down on killing him right now because I felt the drama that you were squeezing out of those two was something maybe we could have got more out of a couple episodes. And quite honestly, when the killer was chasing his mother, I was thinking, yeah, thank God, because to me, it already looks like she's run her course. I've ruled her out of the killing stakes, not going too early into theories, but I'll talk about that when we talk about how we feel about what's going on and what we think is happening, but I've already ruled her out for a couple of reasons. So when he was chasing her, I was thinking, yeah, that's the way to go and keep the brothers going for a couple of episodes. Even if you're going to kill one of them, there was at least something there you could have dragged out. As you said, a couple more flashbacks with Cronenberg sort of working through the relationships. Even if they're not going to be characters that survive, they were the best vehicle to get a sense of how this bloke worked within his family and how much of a fucking prick he was, the way he was playing everyone off against each other, and it was just about, you know, who could gain the most for themselves and who could get on top. So that I was a little down on losing Jaden in that regard. It
felt like a waste of a relationship.
Well, there was that.
We had started the relationship.
Correct. And as I was kind of, it felt like they were trying to do it because you were looking at it saying, yeah, we've got a ways to go with these two, so it was going to be a bit of a shock. But honestly, after a little bit with the brothers, I was thinking, fuck, I hope we don't lose one of these guys because it feels like a bit of shock value early. Like you're trying to go against expectations. That we look at this relationship and think there's more here, and then you go and kill one of them. So I'm a little bit down on that because I feel like, yeah, I've already ruled the mother out and she's grating on me a little bit. I don't think there's as much there.
No, there isn't. The other thing for me was we were busting out the shaky camera a little bit too much for my liking.
Mm.
You don't whenever there's a chase scene, things got real shaky. I couldn't see what was happening. You know, I mean, we need to back that shit off. You shoot clean, mate. Shoot clean. Fuck, this is, you know. I understand that you're trying to build some tension, but that's not the way to do it. Seeing him standing in the woods randomly. That's the way to do it.
Well, yeah, there's ways to craft the scares and pump the heart rate up without having to resort to, yeah, like you said, shaky cameras and quick chops and changes.
Yeah, and there was a bit too much of it for me. But that was kind of it for my end of what I didn't like. I mean, I certainly didn't hate the episode.
No.
I just didn't feel it crackled as much as the first one.
No, absolutely not. I was the same. I felt the setup in the first one was really cool, really interesting, hooked us in. And then this one started to put things out there, but not quite as successfully. Yeah.
So, theories, Jared.
Theories.
I don't think this is a big sort of... I mean, we're so early on in the piece that, you know, we're probably just pointing at the bleeding obvious, but I think you'll find it's a not double killer, but there's a killer and there's a puppet master.
Accomplice, yeah. I'm starting to think the same.
It's definitely a man.
Well, in the costume, absolutely. Within the group, there's only 2 to 3 people it could be just by looking at the height of the person and the build of the person. Yep.
And their strength and stuff, you know. If you're telling me a woman hoisted that guy up onto a fucking and then disemboweled him, now I'm not saying women can't do this, but... It's harder to swallow.
Well, my
suggestion is that there's an accomplice.
I'm looking at it and saying, okay, so when you see the character in the woods, he or she is almost as tall as Jaden, and so immediately you take out the mother because she's there. But even if she's, I mean, if it's another one of the female characters of the same height, you can already rule out 2 to 3 of those people because you look at it and you're like, no, it seems to be one of the males because of the height, if nothing else.
You might be able to put the girl who came, the girl from the army.
Well, no, because she's fucking...
She could potentially be one.
But she's as short as the mother. And the killer stood much taller.
Maybe they're hoping that you won't notice how tall the killer is.
Yeah, but that's silly, because if you're going to show them in the sense that they did, it's like she's come back from the army or whatever, so immediately you were looking at her saying, okay, well, she's got a skill set there that you know, translates to what's happening. But then if you're going to come out and say it's her, you're going to have her pull the mask off, you're going to look at it and go, you got to be kidding, right? Like,
she's a midget.
She was a foot taller when in this particular sequence, which is why, I'm thinking the same. I'm thinking there's more than one. The other thing that got me was we talked about last week when the housekeeper came in and said everyone's involved. When she said that, the first thing I was thinking was, oh, okay, so Liv is his daughter, which didn't really shock me. I was thinking, yeah, okay, well, he's had an affair with the housekeeper. But then I thought back to the whole kidnapping thing. And so I thought, oh, well, that was their little twist, is that they pulled me right in, and I thought, yeah, it's just going to be the housekeeper's daughter is his child. But then I thought, oh no, fuck, she's involved in with the kid. She knows the kid is back, and that they're bringing the one that they kidnapped back for the game. So I was like, okay, well played. So then we come back this week and we do say, oh, well, Liv is his daughter. I was like, oh, okay. I thought they'd already done the double cross on me, but they've gone back to what I thought they were moving away from. But yeah, talking about the mother, why I've ruled her out. Number one was what you said. There's the factor of you saw the physical frame of the person, and not to mention she was there while the killer was there. Not to say, as you said, that's not to say that there's not two people, and I'm thinking there is going to be more than one involved, because they haven't done that yet. They haven't done.
No.
Well, they did actually. Sorry,
haven't done the double killer.
Sorry, I'm mistaken. They did actually do it. Series
they did it in the third
series
season.
3. They did it. Yeah. So, but look, I'm still for whatever reason, there's so many characters. I'm still thinking that's a distinct possibility. But the mother has just the most bland motivation of the you know, I was married to him, I deserve the money, and you know they've already gone and they've had characters just out and out call her gold digger. So I'm like, fuck, if she's the killer, it's going to be tough to cop, because they haven't given us...
There'd want to be another reason.
Yeah, well, they haven't given us anything more than that yet. So I'm kind of already scrubbing her out. But, you know, as we spoke about last week, between Poirot and Blanc, I'm only writing my notes in pencil so I can quickly scrub them out from episode to episode.
Yes. Well... I'm going to double down on my brother theory. So I don't think he is the brother. I think he's an imposter that's been probably brought in by Cronenberg to stir the pot.
Mm-hmm.
And secondly, he makes mention of something in this episode. He says when they're in there together, him and Theo are in the bedroom.
Yep.
He says, "Where I come from, you don't want to be on the bottom bunk," which to me indicates he's been in prison.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking he's an ex-con. Cronenberg's hooked him up. This is all part of the game, and it's gonna that's gonna be the twist later on. A smaller twist is that he's not who he says he is.
Yeah, you could be onto something there. There was nothing really either.
Could be.
There's nothing really either way. This episode, they were pretty vague about it, which makes me feel like, yeah, they're probably going to go that direction. Because if it was his brother, you feel like he could have just come out and said something about, I remember this or that. He makes
one comment about...
Yeah, he picks out a picture about the family ghost or whatever, and he says, yeah, when I drew that...
Yep.
Okay, well...
I was all into it all the time.
Yeah.
That's pretty easy to sort of fake. So I think we're right on the money there.
Mm. Well, you're on the money there. I'm dancing around that one.
You're still floundering.
I'm still floundering. Well, I still feel like the housekeeper is going to have a hefty involvement somewhere along the line. I just feel like the interactions in that first one were still a little bit sus for me. So eyes are still on her.
Yeah.
But other than that, yeah, I haven't ironed anything out yet.
No, and there wasn't much given away in the second episode. They did because they spent so much time with Seamus and Jaden. And look, you know, I'm not going to write. Obviously, Jaden's dead.
Yep.
I'm not going to write Seamus off 100%.
I almost have.
But he's He doesn't strike me as the guy.
Well, he's put it this way, you know,
He just doesn't strike me.
When is, you know, it's very rare that the person that most outwardly, I mean, essentially he feels to me like the jock in a slasher flick who constantly talks about how tough they are and that, you know, if the killer shows up, I'm going to punch on with them. Not the same thing, but he's constantly talking about, Dad taught me to be the winner. I'm going to come out on top. So I immediately think, you're not coming out on top. So, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. He's too much of a blowhard. So it doesn't strike me that it's too easy. It's got a bit of a detox vibe, Jared. You know, you're kind of overselling him.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't have any other theories.
No, that's it for me at the moment. I'm just, I'm more kind of circling people and saying, I feel like the way your character is playing at the moment, it's not you. And so that is really Seamus and the mother to me. And the housekeeper is the one that I'm looking at saying, you've been in the background a little bit, couple of interactions that are piquing my interest.
See, I've got to zero in on someone because the brother is too easy. I think he will be an imposter, but he is not going to be the killer. It's too easy.
No, that's right. Again, it's another one where it's his
story brings him back in.
Well, that's right. It's like, okay, well, by bringing him in as the focal point of the story in episode 2, you almost can't put him in amongst it.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah,
I've got to find someone to circle.
Mm-hmm.
All right, that's episode 2 of Slasher. We'll get around to episode 3 as quickly as possible. But until then, take it easy and we'll catch up with everyone later. Cheers.
Find the podcast at Podomatic or on iTunes. Don't forget to rate and review. Like us on Facebook at Thrill Me Podcast Australia or contact us at thrillme, all one word, all lowercase, at iinet.net.au.